Hello, I'm so glad you are here to learn with me today about how to make a box cake that you buy in the store. Tastes just like one from the bakery. Now, I grew up in a bakery, so I should know how to make a cake from scratch, but I was not the baker in the bakery. I was the storefront girl, salesperson, the cookie panner, anything you could think of that, but I didn't get to do the baking. So I had to learn how to bake and cook on my own after I left home because my mom was too busy working all the time to really teach me, and my brothers are the ones that became bakers. A couple of my sisters did also, but they kind of, I don't know how they got to get my dad to teach them, but they did. So maybe I just wasn't interested then. So this cake that I'm using today is a Pillsbury white cake. And you can use this process if you need to make a cake for a wedding, for special occasion, or just everyday cake. It tastes richer, better, I think. Some people maybe don't like as rich a cake, but I do. So with this box cake mix, they use oil and water and eggs to the mix. So in order to change it so it's richer and tastes more like a bakery cake, what you do is you convert the oil recipe, which in the one that I'm using, it would be a half cup of oil, so I'm using a half cup of butter. And it would be 1 1/4 cups of water, but instead of water, I'm using milk. And that would be 1 1/4 cup. And then 4 egg whites. And I added 1 more egg white. So I'm putting 5 egg whites in instead of 4. I'm using 1 1/2 cups of milk and a half cup of butter. Now there is a recipe for using whole eggs, but the white, when you use just the whites of the egg, it makes it more white and fluffy. It doesn't put the yellow in the cake, and so when you're doing something like a wedding cake and you want it to be very white, you want to use the egg white recipe. So a half a cup of butter would be 1 cube. Okay, so I've already put in the milk, the 1 1/4 cup of milk, and the mix, the white cake mix. And then this also is the Moist Supreme. So I try to look for that in any brands that I buy because they're more, they're richer mix when you're making your cake. So now I have the 5 egg whites here. Okay, so I'm going to mix that in with the butter and whip it up. And then once that's mixed together, then we're going to pour it into prepared pans, which I haven't done yet because I want to show you. I've showed you with banana bread, I think, at one time how to grease and flour your pans to make sure that you don't have your cake sticking. So I'm going to bring this camera down a bit so you can see better. Not quite there. Right about here. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on and mix it up a little here for a minute. And remember, I've shown you before with this, the mixers, you want to set this on low first to get it going, then you can speed it up a little more. You don't want to just jump right into full force, because your mixer will not like that. Okay, now I'm going to start adding the butter in. So this is the half a cup of butter. Okay, and you can see that is, maybe you can see that. So it's still pretty white because we didn't use the egg white or the yolk, we just used egg whites. Okay, and then the egg white. Now, normally you could add the butter and eggs first, and then add your mix and the milk, but I was showing you the egg white, so I kind of did it backwards. But as long as you mix it all together really well and let it whip up, I'm going to get a spatula here so you can see this. I need to scrape the sides, make sure that everything is going in. So I'll stop that for a minute. Sometimes I can do that while it's going, but I'm gonna do it the safe way, is to stop it and then scrape your sides down. Make sure you have all the ingredients mixed up together. Okay. And you need to lock that in so you don't get a big mess, because it will start jumping. This will start jumping up and down if you don't lock it. So we just want to whip it all up together until it looks a little fluffy. It's not going to be super runny like some cake mixes might be when you use the water. And this one is gets a little more fluffy. And then once it's all mixed together, okay, so now I'm going to show you how we do the pans. Now the pans need to be oiled and buttered. Let me turn this. I'm not using my phone today, so I have to kind of adjust this as we go. Okay. Now, what I use is Pam, and that's because it's easy, and you can make sure you get plenty on there. So you want to spray your pan all over the bottom and around the sides. Okay, you can use oil with like a paper towel or a cloth. Some people do that. My dad used to use a brush, a certain brush for that, and he would use actually grease, like a Crisco on his, and he would brush it on to make sure that it's all covered. But at home you can do that if you have Crisco. This way is easy, and I like easy. Okay, so now I'm going to put some flour. This flour is a gluten-free vegan flour that I'm using because my daughter told me about it because she's gluten-free and she has fibromyalgia, and I just found out I also do. So eventually I'm going to have to change my diet to gluten-free completely. But this one is gluten-free vegan all-purpose flour. So the only difference is that you have to add a couple other ingredients in this to make it bake and rise things better than just regular wheat flour. In the cake mix, I'm sure it's wheat flour. So this isn't gluten-free cake. But the flour I'm using in here is gluten-free. And we're going to see how it works, but I'm pretty sure that it should not stick no matter which flour you use for this, because the whole purpose is just to coat the pan completely so that when it's all done baking, you can just let it cool a little and then you bang it out and it should drop right out without tearing or pulling off any of your cake layer. So that's the whole idea here, is that we're trying to prevent any of the cake from tearing off when you go to get it out. And if there's a lot of flour left on it, once it's completely cold, you can brush some of that off if you need to. Okay, so now you can see I try to shake off as much as I can without it not falling off. So you can see it's like completely covered, okay? So we shouldn't have any sticking of the batter to the pan. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other ones like that, and then I'm going to put the cake mix in. Usually you want to go like a halfway mark because it's going to rise up above in order to make a flat layer. Once you put in your batter, I'll show you one here. Let me get this off. Bam, I'm doing this from a weird angle. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take off all that batter and make sure we get it all. Okay, and then I use my fingers sometimes just to make sure I get it all, because we're going to need it for both layers. If you want to make thinner layers, you can. I have 3 pans here. I haven't really decided. The reason I'm making this cake today is it's my husband's birthday, and he was born on the 22nd of June. It's the first day of summer, and he's always near Father's Day, so he kind of gets Father's Day and his birthday lumped together. But I haven't made him a cake yet, so that is why that's what I'm doing right now. He always had a lemon cake that his mom made him his whole life, up until a couple of years ago. And so this time I asked him what he wanted, and he said vanilla or lemon. And so we're making a vanilla. So when you go to put this in, you want to, this is going to be kind of thicker than some cake batter would be, because it's very rich. And then we're going to make sure that it's covering all the way out, but without taking that flour off that layer. Let me move that one over. Okay, so now as this one is settling in to the pan, I just kind of push it out a little. And I might put one more. Okay, so now once this is completely covering and it's halfway up, about halfway, a little more. Okay, so now then I take it and I do this, which is very loud probably right now in that camera. But we're trying to just make it as flat as we can to the pan. Okay, and then as it bakes, it'll even out some more. Okay, so this is what will make your layers more even and flat. Once you've done that, then it's ready to go. And so I'm going to go ahead and do the next one, and then I'll put them in the oven. And I've made some vanilla pudding is what I've chosen to ice it with, just to make it because it's a warm day and we're having some really warm days for the next week. So I thought, well, what's a good summer cool cake to have? And so pudding's always a good thing for a warm day. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ice that up and then probably decorate it a little, and I'll show you the end result of that. And this cake is getting baked just like the directions are telling us, at 350. Okay, 350 for 29 to 33 minutes. So I'm going to check it with my cake checker, which I think I've shown you on other videos. It's just a very thin like needle that goes in to just check and make sure it's done. If it comes out clean, then it's all baked. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, I'm back, and the true test. We're going to bang out the cake, see how it comes out. It's all cold. I had to wait for it to be cool before you do this. And you do that pretty hard so that it pops right off. You notice nothing tore off that one, so that's good. Okay, second one. Whoop, I kind of bounced that guy, but it's alright. There we go. 2 cakes, full layers. Okay, so now you can see why it's important that you grease and flour your pan. Even if you think you got it just by greasing it, this just makes sure that you don't ruin your layers, because it's super hard to fix it. I mean, you can fix it with icing, but it's a lot easier if you just do that and get them all the same flatness. So these are a little bit warm on the bottom, so I'm going to let them cool a little bit more, and then I'm going to ice them, and I will post the cake on my Facebook page when I'm all done. So I appreciate everyone coming and watching this video on how to make a quality cake out of a box cake for any special occasion by changing your adding an egg, or if you're doing the egg white recipe, you add one more egg white. You put milk instead of water and butter instead of oil. And in order to get your layers flat, you're banging them. Once the mix is in the pan, you're going to bang them out so they lay flat. Then you're going to bake them off and let them cool completely. But before you put the batter in, you make sure you grease and flour all sides of your pan. Once cooled and banged out, they come out looking like that. Okay, well, everybody get busy, make some cakes, have a great night, and please like this video. Go to my Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube channel. My website if you're interested in a parenting class, and I will be coming on with some new classes around recovery and from addictions. All right, you have a nice evening.